So I was at the Nigerian Bar Association conference in Enugu all the time. And, this particular questions that Seun Okinbaloye asked the day that the Minister for Science and Technology showed up, as Tunji Ojo. No, I don't think it's in Science and Technology. The Minister for Interior, Tunji Ojo showed up. Was one that was quite hilarious. I mean, you had an obvious Ekwesili there. You had Tunji Ojo there. We had other persons, but the most prominent were these two persons because they were profound with their presentation, with their paper presentation, and then the breakout session. Seun Okinbaloye was going to not leave that hall without causing a stare. I mean, it was deliberate. You could tell that he crafted those questions, even though some persons would say they were leading questions, but it really doesn't matter whether it's a leading question or it's not a leading question. It was just questions to stir controversy, either to stir controversy or to feel the pulse of the people. Because again, these people live in Nigeria. They are lawyers, yes. They are professionals in their study. But of course, they live in Nigeria. And sometimes feeling the pulse of Nigerians may not necessarily mean going from one place to another and putting camera in the faces of people or putting microphone in the fronts of persons and tell them to just tell you what they feel about the current administration. Everyone is feeling the pinch, either feeling the pinch via transportation or feeling the pinch via food stuff or feeling the pinch via school increase in prices. Virtually everybody is feeling that pinch, and not even the minimum wage has been increased at least once since the last 2 years plus, cushioned for the effect of the crazily expensive lifestyle that the government of Nigeria has imposed on Nigerian people. So it was a straightforward answer with those questions.
All right. The first question is Nigeria better today than 2 years ago? So I think that is for yes. Is Nigeria better today than 2 years ago? Okay, let's go to the second question. Do you think, do you think the nation is on the right track with the policies of the Tinubu government? Okay. All right. My third question, and this is very important, and we need to also think carefully. Is your hope renewed? No, I'm not finished the question. Hold on. I've not finished the questions. Hold on is a longer sentence. Is your hope renewed now, or do you think this government is in touch with the present realities of the average nation? For those who agree, say yes. Those who disagree, say no. If you agree that the Minister of Interior did a fantastic job in defending a very difficult situation of the country, put your hands together for him. If you really think the Minister of Interior did a very good job, please stand up and clap for him. So it's a unanimous decision. All right, and that note, the yes have it.
The questions were just straightforward, and I hear a lot of persons have reacted to that questions that have been raised. I turned on to Arise TV earlier, and I saw that Reuben Abati had reacted to it. I saw that even the likes of Rufai had also reacted to it. I just want us to just listen to both of them, and we'll be back shortly.
I saw how the government officials tried to defend things that no didn't exist. Take, for instance, one of the ministers I was on the panel said there were, this is the line the government keeps putting out, that there was no provision for subsidy in the law when they removed subsidy. But you see, they don't tell the full part of the story that this government also claimed they paid subsidies till 2024. It was when the prices jacked up. So when they said subsidy gone, they were still paying subsidies. Those are empirical facts. The NNPC was still paying subsidies within. It was when they said they removed it totally that happened. So they tell a lot of half-truths. You know, there's a danger of a single story. It's just one side they tell. But you cannot deceive the people for too long. See, Oji, if the parameters are good in favor of the people, forget what the IMF is saying, okay, reserves and everything. The IMF is never there for your lives to get a lot better. It's never there for your lives to get a lot better. Forget it. With all the advice the IMF has been giving, where did it lead us till today? So if the parameters are good, you will see it, Oji. Can we compare it to the years when Nigeria was growing 7-8%? We saw, one of us just like, the president didn't need to go and tell people in Brazil to come back home. They came back, people came back home normally. But you know the interesting part, people that came back home in those boom days, they are going back. They've all gone back.
All right.
So you don't need to tell people, it's not a case of overselling. Right. What you should focus on is leave the sentiment and the buzzword, the headlines. You were saying headlines don't lie. No. There's something you call headlines. I can do propaganda and craft an headline now. It doesn't. I can craft headlines.
Depends on what you're reading.
Yes. Yeah. So what you will say is it depends on what you are reading. Headlines can be headlines.
True.
So I can craft headlines for you just to feel that things are working, but they're not working. And it goes back to the fact that they need to get a lot done.
All right.
The MBA conference is one. I've also had the chance to be able to moderate one of the sessions of the MBA conference where we speak truth to power on each other. And I think these are the feedbacks the government should be able to take. As it is, we're talking to the diaspora community in Brazil. Yes, these are the reforms, but the question is, so that's their own single story. Oh, we've put in reforms, we remove this, we remove that, remove this, remove that. Ayo was saying logistics.
Those are some of the questions that the administration will need to respond. Only a minute because we have to go to the next one.
Not even up to a minute. Without prejudice to all these conversations we've been having about economic reforms and the impact on the people. Now, there's something in journalism called leading questions. When you phrase questions to have a predetermined intended answer.
Yes.
So, a typical example will be those questions that you showed. When you ask people, do you think hope has been renewed? There are only two options.
Yes.
When you ask them, is Nigeria economy better than it? If you were to disaggregate it, then of course there will be room for further reflection of analysis. So these are trick questions that just lead to one particular answer.
All right.
So we need to be careful about that.
Okay.
So in other words, that may not be a proper reflection of the diverse, disaggregated views of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Right. Well said. Or even some of the Nigerian people.
Or even the Nigerian people.
Some of the Nigerian people.
Well, except you're not living in Nigeria, really, except you are not living in Nigeria, you will frankly think for the life of me that those questions were not straightforward if you are a common man on the street. These are lawyers. These are lawyers who defend the hope of a common man. Remember who these guys are. They're not coming to come and praise government. It's not their work to praise government, even though sometimes you'll be shocked at what they do. They are people who are almost always, all the time, given the opportunity to raise the bar in helping defend the rights and obligations, the rights of the people, and then hold government to account through their profession. All right. So uphold the law and make sure that it's dispensed at any given time and every given time. So they're not going to come and sugarcoat or try to paint things in a certain way. And remember, these lawyers came from different parts of the country. In fact, some people came in from outside the country for this particular event. It's a yearly event, and you can tell that, for crying out loud, that these guys are not going to, they're fearless people most of the time. They're not going to sugarcoat it that, oh, things are good, or things are even, or things are fair. They're going to say the way it is. But I'm actually very shocked at, what's his name? I'm talking about Reuben Abati's reaction, saying that Seun Okinbaloye is asking a leading question. A leading question? How? I mean, is your life better than what it was 2 years ago? Of course not. Buhari looks like he did a lot better, even though economically you could say that he's also a disaster. But things were a little bit fair for the common man on the streets. We borrowed much more than we even, made. And of course, it's due to corruption. Nobody has tried to look into the expense that we do, in different parastatals. We just create opportunities for people to make monies and siphon it and do nothing with it. That is what I see happen. So because of Buhari's borrowing tendencies, our GDP ratio, debt to ratio, was between 97% and 100%. So there was no going back. There was nobody that was going to come in and start saying they're going to continue paying subsidy. It was either it's removed completely or not. And the implication is that everybody's going to feel the brunt of that removal. The other presidential candidates said they're going to do it gradually, or look into the corruption of the NNPC and see where we can, make amends. But this government says the subsidy has gone on from day one. And from day one up until this day, nobody's life have remained the same. Nobody's food prices have remained the same. People skip meals because they need to stay alive for the day after. It is that crazy. It is that crazy. So I'm just saying from the hindsight that a straightforward question is a straightforward question and demands a straightforward answer. I'm just thinking, look, that Reuben Abati, you can always see through his biases. And it seems Arise has allowed them to be as biased as possible, to air their opinion, to hold opinion, unlike other stations, like channels that is still doing, sound like you really don't know what's happening, and let the person say it as it is. But on Arise, you see them being opinionated and give a verdict on certain things. Because I really don't understand what you mean by it's a leading question. So you are blaming Seun Okinbaloye for even asking a question at all. Is it not the question you ask a common man? Is the common man's life better than what it was in 2023? Like, how else is he going to ask the question? You are saying he's asking a leading question. How good is even your own questions in the first place? Why would it, and in any case, like it or leave it, almost all questions, in fact, more than 70% of the questions journalists ask, they know the answer. More than 70%. And they are mostly leading questions. Seun Okinbaloye ate food in 2023. He knew the restaurant he went to in 2023, how much he bought food at that time, how much he bought fuel at that time, how much he paid school fees at that time. He knows how much he's paying school fees now. He knows how much he's eating food now. So he can't come and he knows how much his salary is then and how much his salary is now. So even he himself knows the answer. But I mean, it is going to be one opinion over 100 or 200 or 4,000 people in that hall. So there was no way you can win that cause. There's no way you can win that match. More people are feeling the brunt. Yes, you could say prices of food are beginning to improve, be better than what it was. Like I said in my previous video, gari, rice, all those staple foods are beginning to come down a little bit. Not as much as it should. Yam, a tuber of yam used to be 6,000, but now a tuber of yam you can get for between 1.8 and 2.5. Yes, the new yam festival I've been seeing around, the yams that I've been looking at, they say is that low now in terms of and because maybe people say also because we are in the season, but I tell them no. At this time last year, it wasn't like this. Everything was high up there. So these things have been exacerbated by the increase in pump price of fuel. If tomorrow prices of fuel go down, say as low as 500 naira, food prices will go down too. So nobody should come and gaslight anybody and say you are holding Seun Okinbaloye responsible for the question he asked. Well, he couldn't have asked it that way. He's asking a leading question. If you bring a common man to your studio to ask him a question, how would you start by asking the question? You tell him what is your experience with this government in the last 2 years. He will explain to you his experience. He wouldn't sugarcoat it. There's no. And if you ask somebody what his experience is with this government, it's also a leading question, because you know that from the bunch of the most in this country, there are more people are languishing in poverty. People are dipping their hands into their savings, and some don't even have savings anymore. So I wonder what he thinks, or what he thought that Seun Okinbaloye was doing, you know. But Seun also wanted to be smart. He didn't want to feel like somebody who is, you know, poking the presidency. And he, after asking the 2 questions, and then the 3 questions, and then he went on to ask whether the people felt that the minister delivered very well. And afterwards, he now said the years have it. He wanted to outsmart everyone there, but then I understand where he's coming from. But tell me what you think, though. I'd love to hear from you, as always.